The shooting brake style is one which has been around for a long time now, and it aims to combine the look and feel of a regular estate with the saloon-like proportions that we're all fairly accustomed to. Now, the Arteon is available both as a fastback and as a shooting brake, and it's the latter version that we've got here today. So, can this sleekly proportioned and elegant car deliver an experience that is as equally as refined as the way that it looks? Well, we're going to be finding that out today. The Arteon shooting brake is, in my view, one of the prettiest looking cars on sale today. Now, of course, that is down to the individual preference, but I just think the proportions of this vehicle make it look fantastic, both when it's moving and when it's static. Of course, there are some cool little touches to check out, including the full width light bar at the front, and on this R version, the smattering of R logos that you'll find on the flanks and on the brake calipers too. The Arteon essentially uses some of Volkswagen's previous generation features, but when you compare it to the button-free layout that you get in the latest Mark 8 Golf, for instance, it makes a big difference. We've got some nice controls for the heating and ventilation down here, and though they're sort of touch sensitive, they're intuitive, and most importantly, they're backlit. Who would have thought that'd be such a clever idea? So you can see them at night time, something you don't get in the 8th generation Golf. Now, the slightly haptic feedback buttons on the steering wheel continue to be less than intuitive, and interestingly, in the latest revision for the Mark 8 Golf, they've ditched those in favour of the usual, well, standard buttons, and I think that's a smart move because these ones just don't work quite like how you want them to. Elsewhere though, the build quality is excellent. We've got nice robust materials down the side here, good fit and finish, and these Ergo Comfort seats in this Arteon in particular are incredibly comfortable, and despite being slightly bucketed, they aren't too sharp and they aren't too figure hugging, so on those long journeys they're far more relaxing to sit in. The long wheelbase of the Arteon gives plenty of interior space, and you can see that from the level of legroom and headroom that I've got. For taller passengers, I think that sloped roofline might start coming into play, but for average height people like myself, it's not too bad. I like the cocoon-like element that you get here. Of course, these pillars here are quite thick, but it all tucks in around you. It all feels very comfortable, and it's a good place to spend a lot of time in if you were doing a long motorway journey. Sitting back here, I reckon you could have quite a good snooze in reality. You've got some handy pockets up here for your mobile phone, and there's a seat back pocket here too for a larger item like a book or a laptop. But apart from that, there's actually not a lot else to speak for. There's one socket down here, but no USB or USB-C chargers, and there are no independent controls for the heating ventilation either, just the vents here. That's pretty much all you've got. There's not much else to speak about apart from the handily located ISOFIX points that are nice and clear and easy to access on the seats. You kind of expect to have plenty of space in the back of a car like the Arteon shooting brake, and fortunately that is just the case. In fact, you get 590 litres of boot space back here, and it's a very square and versatile area overall. One thing I would mention is that there's quite a big drop off between the lip and the actual base of the boot, so bringing those heavier items out might prove a bit of a challenge. However, you can extend the load area by lowering the rear seats down, and there's a handy ski hatch in the middle, so you can put those skis, as you might expect, through there, or just long bits of wood that you're bringing back from B&Q. The Arteon can be had in two flavours. You can get it in the regular hatchback, or indeed in the shooting brake, like this one that we've got here. It'll probably come as no surprise that I prefer the shooting brake. I just think, why wouldn't you have a slightly more tapered roofline, cool silhouette on the road? I just think it looks fantastic. It's one of the best looking cars that Volkswagen has in its stable currently, I feel, and it's certainly one of the better cars available on the market in this sort of segment. This particular Arteon is the Arteon R, and that means it gets the 2-litre turbocharged petrol engine that we're all used to from the Golf R, but put into this far sleeker, more attractive body style, in my opinion anyway. Performance is still superb. You've got 316 brake horsepower going to all four wheels, and that means 0 to 60 miles an hour in about 4.7 seconds. Plus, because of that four-wheel drive system, you've got endless traction, and particularly on days like today when we're looking at around about 0 degrees. You could fit this car with winters and it'll really devour those poor conditions. Likewise, when things are wet and slippery, it's just going to give you that little bit of background, a slight safety net when it comes to traction. The steering is nicely weighted, but it's not the most direct that we've encountered. But the plus side of the Arteon is that it's got that kind of multi-tool ability. This is a car that feels just at home as it is on twisty bends, as it is when it's on the motorway. It actually settles down to a cruise impressively well. This car in particular has dynamic chassis control, which means that you can soften off the ride or firm it up depending on the driving situation. If you're driving in a more spirited manner, maybe you might want to firm it up, but given the state of the UK's roads, I just always have it in comfort. And in comfort, it takes all the edges off the road, relaxes the whole car, and I just think it's far more applicable to daily driving in that mode. Visibility isn't too bad, but because it's a shooting brake, because of that style, rearward visibility isn't the best. You've got almost a letterbox style opening at the rear, and that's just not the best. But the rest of the car is incredibly versatile and practical. Brakes are decent. Steering has, again, a decent amount of weight to it. You can adjust that via the modes, but I don't like too much artificial weight in a car steering. I just find it makes it just feel a bit unnatural, really. The good thing in the Arteon too is that it does have a shortcut R button on the steering wheel. That's something we've seen on the latest Mark 8 generation Golf, and that puts it into its sportiest setting straight away. As you can hear, we've now got a bit more piped in sound. Again, not a massive fan of piped in sound, but it does make things a bit more exciting if you want to do that. And we've also got sharper gear changes behind the wheel. Again, all very standard for Volkswagen R models, and it's just so easy to drive quite quickly. It doesn't really require too much from the driver. And you could argue that something like a Golf GTI or a Golf Estate might be a little bit more involving than the Arteon R, but as an all-weather conqueror, the Arteon R is incredibly impressive. And on a long run, you could get near to 40 mpg. It's far more than Volkswagen claims. They claim just over 30 mpg, but I have seen near to 40 by just maintaining a steady 70 mile an hour cruise. This is an engine which is incredibly versatile, and that's in keeping with the Arteon's versatile feeling that it delivers overall. The Arteon shooting brake is something of a true all-rounder, and that's not something you get too often these days. It's comfortable, refined, and in this R version, it's got a lot of performance to offer too. However, I would say that regular versions of the Arteon make even more sense, particularly the long-legged diesel, which will deliver efficiency and refinement over long distances, and that's what shooting brake is all about. In this segment, the Arteon shooting brake stands out as something of an old school classic with modern features, and of course you've got those striking looks to fall back on, so that even when you've parked it, you know it's a car that feels a little bit special despite being relatively normal underneath. Thank you for watching this Motors review of the Volkswagen Arteon shooting brake. Now, if you have enjoyed this video, please leave us a like below and let us know in the comment section whether you'd pick this vehicle or whether you might go for a more traditional estate car. And since you're here, please subscribe to the Motors YouTube channel, and if you click that bell icon, you'll get a notification each time we upload a new review.